Listen to the South African president announce the acceptance of the new members to BRICS, which you will have Iran, UAE, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Argentina. These are 6 new countries, big economies joining the BRICS Union, I guess you can call it. So in total, you have 11 countries, including Russia, China, India, Brazil, Iran, South Africa. All these countries are getting together and coming out with an alternative currency to the dollar. So it is creating a multipolar world.
With BRICS countries, we have reached agreement on the guiding principles, standards, criteria, and procedures of the BRICS expansion process, which has been in discussion for quite a while. We have consensus on the first phase of this expansion process, and other phases will follow. We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of BRICS. The membership will take effect from the 1st of January 2024. We value the interests of other countries in building a partnership with BRICS. We have tasked our foreign ministers to further develop the BRICS partner country model and a list of prospective partner countries and report by the next summit. Today we will be hosting leaders from Africa and the Global South in the BRICS Africa Outreach and the BRICS Plus Dialogue. This is so that we can have an inclusive dialogue on key issues affecting developing economies and identify actions that we can take together towards a more equitable, inclusive, and representative world.
Starting this January, BRICS will go into full motion, and there are a lot of countries lined up trying to become members. You see, it's a lot of applied memberships. Those are all the yellow countries. And then you have all the red countries are all the member states already. And all the green are all the new member states. So you have all these countries that are coming together to create an alternative to the dollar, also using their local currencies as well. So that way, every one of these countries become powerful and their economies become powerful, and they no longer have to worry about the sanctions of the United States or the West, because we have weaponized the dollar, especially after Joe Biden pretty much stole $300 billion of Russia's money because of the Ukraine war. You can't just take someone's money that's in the world reserve currency, because all trade was being done in the dollar, and we were able to actually take $300 billion from Russia's basically IMF money that they had for world trade. And then the rest of the world is seeing this, and they got scared that if the United States decides to sanction them, they can just take all of their earnings, all of their money, all their world trade money. So they're like looking for an alternative, and BRICS is providing that. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, and South Africa. But now you have so many other countries that are joining this summit or this union or this group of people to basically, these groups of countries, to basically have an alternative to the dollar, where they can bypass all U.S. sanctions, because we have been weaponizing the dollar. The dollar, instead of being neutral, for the first time in history, has really been weaponized, where we were able to really just take a whole country's money and freeze everything and take everything that they have and own, down to the yachts, properties, everything, and $300 billion of their world trade currencies. So a lot of people are like, we need to dump the dollar, because if they're willing to do that, they can sanction us one day if they don't like our governing bodies or our rules or our laws or just the sides that we're taking. They can one day sanction us and pretty much take all of our money. And that will make the country basically go into a full protest or into a riot. They were trying to basically starve out Russia during this war crisis, but Russia is so independent and so well connected that it was able to stand on its 4 legs and is doing even better. Because right now they're going into full swing and they have all the support. When Putin showed up to this summit, he showed up pretty much online via FaceTime or something like that. And all the presidents that were in attendance, pretty much 47 presidents that were there, all stood up pretty much in respects to this man, and all were clapping for him and everything like that. They didn't do that for no other presidents and nobody else. So it is a huge change happening, and we are really witnessing history happen right before our eyes. We're seeing basically almost the crash of the dollar, or the switch of power from the West pretty much to the East. You know, it's switching up. It's not no longer the West that's in control. You know, we've turned NATO into pretty much, instead of it being a union of group of countries cooperating and all that, we turned them into a group of bullies that are going around the world sanctioning countries and overthrowing presidents that they don't like or don't agree with their agenda or whatever their plans are. So
we see this as a rare opportunity to address the challenges we've kept on talking about for a long time and on many platforms. One, that we need to reform the global order.
Rightly so. They have a right to be worried, because we have been weaponizing the dollar. And not only have we been weaponizing the dollar, we've been dictating everything that moves around the world and how they should be governed. And if we don't agree with their laws or the way that they're moving or the sides that they're taking when it comes to certain resolutions that are happening around the world, we end up sanctioning them countries. We put sanctions on them to the point nobody can trade with them or barter with them or do anything with them. That's why Cuban cigars are illegal here in the United States. It's not because they got drugs or anything in them. It's because they're from Cuba. That's why Cuba still has cars from the 60s, the 70s and stuff like that. Because we put so many sanctions on them that nobody can trade with them. And if anybody trades with them, we'll put sanctions on them as well. So these countries have realized that, and now are moving away from the dollar because there's an alternative that Russia, China, Brazil, Iran, and South Africa is providing. And now all these GDPs put together and all these countries put together is already half of the world's population. It's pretty much 47.5% of the world's population. You could say half of the world's population is already a part of BRICS as of now. So starting January, BRICS will go into full swing. And pretty much everybody is getting away from this one-sided world where NATO is going around like the big bullies and of the world, run by us, the United States, and pretty much sanctioning countries and overthrowing presidents and doing all type of things, stealing people's minerals and resources and propping up Al-Qaeda and ISIS and all types of other groups all throughout other countries while at the same time fighting them. It's like it makes no sense. So all these countries are realizing that, and they're starting to get away from that. They want to be able to control their country's laws, regulations, and the way that they are able to trade and barter and do things around the world. And China, Brazil, Iran, Russia are providing that. And they're also allowing people and countries to trade in their local currencies as well. So this will create a huge change in the way the world is run. All this is going on while our president, Sleepy Joe Biden, is asleep somewhere in his vacation, while Maui is on fire and the residents there have nothing to eat or go by, because this man only gave them $700 for every family. Each family, a whole family that just lost a home, their cars, everything that they own, he gave them $700, a one-time $700 check. They can't even rent a room with that. You still need deposit. You can't even live off of that for a whole family that just lost everything. I mean, down to soap, everything. No new clothes, no nothing. And you give them $700? You gave Maui $1.9 million? That's what our president did. But he gave Ukraine $40 billion in order to give Maui $1.9 billion. That's on top of the billions and billions of dollars that he's been sending since this war has started. We're not investing into our infrastructure. We're not investing into our citizens. We're not helping our states out here. We're not making America first. We're not making America grow. It's not about America no more. These elites are making it about globalization and taking over the world and pretty much being the world police or the world bullies, and basically nation building in order to have these other countries become a part of their team to do more bullying and to steal and extract the minerals and resources of that country, these that belong to the people and the well-being of that country. But instead it's being stolen and sent to the West. And now Africa is starting to see that. Latin America is starting to see that. The rest of the world is starting to see that. So they're looking for an alternative to the dollar. And Joe Biden just sped that up by weaponizing the dollar. The minute he stole that $300 billion that belongs to Ukraine, to Russia, that $300 billion that belongs to Russia, Joe Biden straight took that money out of their world trade reserves. And that was the first time the United States weaponized the dollar to that full extent, where we took a whole country's, pretty much all their money and their trade reserves, pretty much. And we did that to try to starve out Russia. But instead, Russia did good, and they have a lot of pretty much contacts and a lot of countries that are on their sides and are trading with them and helping their economy grow, even in times of war. You got Russia and parts of Africa still doing war over there, fighting terrorists and everything else, right while they're fighting Ukraine. And instead of us trying to create peace and being world leaders, instead we chose a side, and we're funding that side. And not only are we funding that side, we also weaponized our dollar that's supposed to be neutral for the rest of the world against that side, to where we took all their holdings and even froze everything that they own, even took their yachts, took their homes, took their properties. Anything that they owned in the West was taken from Russia. And that's when we weaponized the dollar, and the rest of the world is saying that. What if America doesn't agree with my governing body, or with our laws, or with our culture? Will they sanction us and take all our money too? And because of that, people are scared. Now they're really looking for an alternative to the dollar, and BRICS is providing that. So that was the dumbest thing he could have ever did, was weaponize the dollar. Joe Biden is a complete failure. And because he weaponized the dollar, all he did was just speed BRICS into full motion, and also make the rest of the countries in the world's minds up to join BRICS. Because don't nobody want to be sanctioned and have all their money for world trade taken from them. That would cause the country to protest and riot and go against the ruling president. And that was what we tried to do to Russia. But instead, Russia prevailed and kept going. And we have failed because all that's going to do is create the hugest inflation on the dollar. And that is going to be very, very bad for us here in the United States. So people, pay attention to the news and just know we are definitely witnessing history. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Also share so we can try to make these videos go viral and make more people be aware of what's really going on in the world, because your local news channels are not reporting on this. Peace. God bless y'all. And I'll see y'all or talk to y'all on the next video.